Breaking news now front exclusive. A new report finding the number of foreign fighters that have traveled to Iraq and Syria to join ISIS has more than doubled in the past 18 months. Let me say that again. More than doubled in the past 18 months. This is according to the Sufan Group, a security and intelligence firm. The firm says the number of foreign fighters has gone from 12,000 to about 31,000. Out front now, Ali Sufan, the head of the Sufan Group. These numbers are pretty stunning. And this is, of course, as the president said, JV team, and then went on to say ISIS was contained. We have seen the numbers of foreign fighters surge.
Sure. I mean, we were probably one of the first entities to do to count the foreign fighters in the conflict zone, especially in Syria and Iraq. And that was back in May of 2014. And the number at the time was 12,000. Today, when we count them, we found out that the number ranges between 27,000 to 31,000. So it's way more than doubled. If you look at Western Europe, the number is definitely way more than doubled. Former Soviet republics, it went up almost to 300%. So that gives you an idea that Putin's, what he's doing in Syria is not only about propping Assad. Definitely he wants to prop up Assad. Yes. But his intervention in Syria might be rooted in his own national security.
It is pretty stunning. Now, you've also found that of this number of up to 31,000 people who have gone to fight, and this is an incredibly large number, 20 to 30% of them, 20 to 30% of them have come home, back to Western countries.
The average is
to do what? Plan Paris attacks?
Well, we don't know, and this is what's scary. I mean, we looked at all the numbers of the people who came back from Western Europe, and even from the United States, from the West in general, and the average goes between 20 to 30%. The average of people from the EU, for example, who have returned is about 26.8%. In the United States, we have about 40 who return, a little bit less than the 26.8%. And we need to know, we need to establish a threat matrix for each and every one of these people. We need to know, did they come back because they went there and they said, well, this is not my cup of cake, or they were not impressed by the utopia of the Islamic Caliphate, or they saw so much violence, or did they come to kill people like they did in Paris?
Okay, so let's talk about 40 people in the United States who have come back to the United States and have been allowed to come in. Some people might say, all right, what Donald Trump said today is way over the line. But what? There's 40 possible ISIS fighters? So let me just play quickly and get your response. Here's Donald Trump.
So what's happened is we're out of control. We have no idea who's coming into our country. We have no idea if they love us or if they hate us. We have no idea if they want to bomb us. We have no idea what's going on.
Well, first of all, the 40 people who came back from the United States, they were not just allowed to come in. You know, the law enforcement and the intelligence agencies, probably most of them are under arrest. They are going through a detailed, thorough interrogations and investigation to see what happened with them. So I trust what our intelligence agencies, the FBI, the law enforcement, the JTTFs, what they are doing in the United States and their policy towards this. As for what Mr. Trump is saying, that is very unfortunate. That's kind of like fear-mongering, for the lack of better term, because if you think about it, national security has been always a rallying point. You know, even with President Bush after 9/11, he rallied all Americans, Muslims, Christians, Jews, atheists, black, white, Hispanic, everybody to stand as one nation against the terrorists. Unfortunately,
so would this stop, if he did this, would this stop a terrorist from coming in, or would it create more terrorists?
Well, first of all, you have to know who's a terrorist. I mean, some of these guys, like Jose Padilla, for example, or John Walker Lynn, you know, we don't know what's in the head of these individuals. We don't know the radicalization that's going on in their soul.